Hi again. My name is Rebel and I'm the Rebel Reseller. And today we thought we would do another ship with me video. I've pulled my orders from the weekend. I have, I think, 31 to ship tomorrow. Hopefully I'll have some more overnight, but I thought it's a good variety of things to share my thought processes on when I'm packing up stuff to ship. So we're moving over to this camera. First and foremost, that other camera that I use in my work area, it's not very good quality. We might need to replace it at some point, but we wanted to use the good camera. So we went ahead and partially got everything in the kind of packing, and then that way I can explain to you why I'm packing things the way I'm packing them.
Without having 14 hours of footage for me to edit.
Yeah,
and chop
for
up.
him to chop because I'm standing there, pulling an envelope or taping a box. And this way I'll just leave everything as it is. And then tomorrow morning I'll go ahead and print all the labels because my label printer is over there.
It doesn't actually take 14 hours to ship.
No, it doesn't. But
I'm just whiny.
No. And I'm glad we're doing it on a Sunday because Robert teaches in our homeschool co-op on Mondays, and if he didn't help me do it right now, I'd either have to get most of it done before he gets home or wait for him to get home, and I don't do that. I like to get my shipping done. I have a set schedule. I list in the morning, I pull and pack, and then I start processing stuff to list for the next day. So I don't like my schedule to get messed up.
That's a fact.
I don't. All right, so I'm going to start with one thing that he didn't finish. Mugs. I sell a lot of mugs, y'all. And we've kind of changed it a little bit. How we've shown previously. Similar, but a little bit different. I have a lot of these 5x5x5 boxes. We went to a yard sale probably 2 years ago now, and they were selling these for cheap, and I bought a ton. So we realized that these coffee mugs, because their business that we bought this from, their business was printing coffee mugs, so they're the perfect size.
We had been doing a very similar packing job, but in a small priority box.
So if you don't, most mugs, a lot of mugs, before you even pack them, are over a pound. So you might as well use a priority box. I'm not quite sure about this one, but I'm just going to show you the process.
But we changed it because the not large mugs we can actually get in under a pound
Under
now
a pound.
and save the buyer on shipping, which makes us have a lower price and
Be a little bit more competitive, because some people balk at having to pay, priority shipping. So 2 of these air pillows, we place it around the handle, and then he's got how many sheets?
Well, it looks like 3.
3 of the small bubbles, because the large bubbles will not fit in this box.
They fit in the small
in the
priority
small
box.
priority box.
It's enough bubbles to wrap all the way around it twice.
Yeah. And so I'm just going to get it centered. Usually I have the table, but I've got the table all covered. And then I'm just going to wrap it, making sure that the pillows stay. And we'll get the tape right here. And then it's wrapped. And then it's just going to fit inside this box, and I'm going to scrunch it down and make it go.
When we run out of these, I'm going to try to get some 5x5x6 high boxes, which will accommodate that a little bit better.
A little better. All right, and then I have this doll, and it needs to be shipped first class, but she's one of the Cabbage Patch dolls that has the hard head. I would not ever put them in a poly or a bubble mailer. How much weight is going to be put on our packages? I think these things get put in huge transport things. This could be in the bottom, and I have purchased dolls before, and when you finally look at them up close, this is all warped because something's happened to it, so it could be damaged. So just, if you've got these hard-headed dolls, put them in a box. And also, look, right, I don't need any padding, but it is pretty thick when I get ready to pack. So once I take this shut, I have these stickers because you don't want your buyer, who most people are going to open up this box with a scissors or a knife or something. Most of them aren't going to fight with the tape. So I put this on next to the label like this so that they know not to open it with a sharp object, because the toy is in there snugly and I don't want any damage done, and I don't want received item damaged, you know, type of dispute because they've cut it and now it's torn, and somehow that would be my fault. So we do have a link down in the comments on these labels. Some people like to buy the smaller ones. I like these really ones that just stick out.
In the video description, not the comments.
Oh yeah, down in the video description. All right, another plush. This is Foofer. This plush has these vintage suction cups on them. For that reason, it should not go in a poly bag or a bubble mailer. You know, somebody may actually want to use these. They do seem to be in really good condition. So putting that in that, you could crease it, break it, whatever. So just definitely box it. All right, and then I have this hand puppet. I've got, I think, 2 hand puppets. I have 2 hand puppets I'm shipping. This one, though, if you squeeze right here, he's got a cardboard insert for his mouth to keep the shape. For that reason, do not mail in a poly bag or a bubble. That could somehow get in the wrong position and then damage it, and you're going to have like a deformed mouth and an unhappy buyer. So again, I love these boxes. I know not everybody can buy boxes like we do, but if you can find a source to get something like this and then just store a lot of them. This is the 8x6x4 box. I use a ton of this for plush, just like this. Ones that have batteries, anything like that. I use a ton of these size boxes. Is this the boots? All right, these, I sold some boots. They are Skechers boots. Robert has placed them in the box already, but if it was me packing it, I would fill it with paper, you know, but Robert likes to use the box cutter, and then he cuts the box down so you don't have any wasted space in the box, and so then you wouldn't need to put bubble or paper in there to, and this is just a really handy dandy thing. You know, you just do this, and then when you roll it around, it's serrated, what is it, like serrated edge, and then it folds over easy. It doesn't end up all crooked and, you know, corners up and corners down. So, what?
Depending on how much void space is going to be in that box determines whether or not I put a little padding or if I cut it down. If it just takes like a row of, like a piece of bubble wrap or a row of air pillows, I'll just throw that in there. But these, it was going to take
this
3
is
layers.
quite a bit.
It was going to require too much packing material, and to me it was worth the time I spent cutting it down, which just took, you know, 30 seconds or something to cut that down.
Right, and then you always have to remember, especially if you're using paper to pack, that's adding weight to your package. So, you know, you have to take all of that into consideration, whether you're going to use bubbles or extra paper, other kind of packing. They're just boots, so it doesn't really need a whole lot of extra padding and everything in here. Is just as long as they're not getting flopped all over the place. All right, I'm going to do this one. Robert does all the breakables unless I'm stuck doing the breakables. But I sold 4 plates. They were listed individually, and this person bought 4 of them. They're not large plates. First, he starts off and he puts layers of the pillows on the bottom of the box when we're dealing with big breakables. And then between each layer of plates, there is bubble.
The small bubbles.
The small bubbles to protect them.
So they don't clink together.
Right. And then he has surrounded this with several layers of the larger bubble. I love the larger bubble, but we do use both. But I use mostly the large bubbles.
And just to be a technical nerd, that's the medium bubble wrap.
It's the medium bubbles if you're using American Bubble Boy.
We don't buy the big bubble wrap. But so to us, the medium bubble wrap is
It's
the
the
big
large
bubble wrap.
I'm going to tape it.
Folded in thirds.
All right. Bubble wrap folded in thirds.
So depending on the item, I do it on how tall the item is. I might do halves or quarters. But for this one, thirds is the appropriate size.
And then you're going to stick it in this side that's open. Right? We're going to get it in there snugly. And then I'm going to tape that. So you've got extra padding on the side.
Smaller plates and stuff don't need that because the bubble wrap that goes around it can fold over the edges, but these are big enough that there's not enough to fold over the edges to protect it, so I put the extra piece on the edges to protect it.
And then do the same on the other side. And a lot of times if we have a single plate, we end up using those rectangular priority boxes if it needs to be shipped priority.
The ones that are flatter.
Yeah, the flat, the ones that are like this thick, but they're like that. All right, so this has plenty of cushioning on all sides. And then we do another layer of the air pillows. And then
If they'd been a little taller, I'd have put one more layer of air pillows on top and called it good. But another layer of air pillows would not have made this a sturdy enough box. So I cut the box down.
Right. So the box has been, again, cut down just a little to make it nice and firm where nothing is moving. Number one rule with tape. I see lots of comments about tape that doesn't stick. We use the Easy Start from Walmart. We buy like an 8-pack for
It's $21,
$20
I think.
something dollars. We like it. But no matter what, when you're taping boxes, make sure you do tape to tape, because tape to tape isn't going to come off. Like if you've got fluctuations in temperature or the quality of the tape isn't that great, a lot of times if you'll just, make sure, you've got this row here that went under, and then do this one, but make sure your ends overlap on each side. All right, and I'm going to tape it some more, but for now, that tape gun is very loud. This is how we will ship it.
You trying to pack this, tape this on camera and show it.
Yeah.
That's a pretty sketchy tape job.
Yeah. There'll be more tape. All right, let me show you some of the smalls. All right. This is Fisher-Price Loving Family Dream. It's just the bottom of a cooler, a sleeping bag, and maybe a blanket or something. This is plastic. It could get damaged. So it's going to go in one of my little 4x4x4 boxes. And all I do is small bubble wrap. Just kind of wrap it in there. I don't even tape it because it isn't going to go anywhere once it's in there. And yes, I see lots of people complaining about the quality of the box. It doesn't matter where you're getting them from. I think there's just a condition problem right now with these boxes. But if you maneuver it a little bit, make sure you push in sides and everything, it works just fine. Again, I will tape over tape, and this box will be good to go. All right, this is just a plain plush, nothing, no cardboard, nothing. So I have a large variety of poly bags, anywhere from 6x9 to like 18x24. So I just pick which one is going to fit easily. All right, now, sold a pair of pajamas. They did measure like right at 15.2, but I know with a poly bag, it's not going to go over a pound, so I just put it in a poly bag.
Pajamas or pajamas?
Pajamas.
Are you sure?
I don't know. What do you say? Obviously not pajamas. Y'all, which way? Pajamas or pajamas?
I just call them shorts.
Yes. Yeah.
If I wore pajamas to bed, I'd be smoldering hot all night long.
All right, this is just a shirt. Again, it was going to be under a pound, so I'll just put it in a poly bag. I do put everything I store goes in a clear bag. So it's going to have multiple layers of protection in case it gets out in the rain or, gets run over by a postal vehicle. I've had that happen before.
And they're stored that way in our inventory so that dust or anything like that just doesn't get on the items.
Once I've had it cleaned, I don't want to have to check it over again. So we just store everything in clear bags.
Makes shipping faster.
Yep. Just another shirt in a bag. All right. I do use a lot of bubble mailers also. Sometimes Plush gets put in this because the dollar value. If somebody's going to spend $25, $30, $40, $50, I'll more than likely ship their Plush in a bubble just for added protection. This is a tie, and Robert and I've had this argument. It's got beans in it. I just really don't want to put that in a plain poly bag. I just don't. So anytime I have a plush that has beans in it, I'll either usually box it or put it in a bubble. I have to fight with this one because it's a larger plush. All right. I have 2 Poshmark sales. They're only shirts, and they would have gone first class shipment if they had sold on eBay. But with Poshmark, everything gets shipped priority. So I usually end up just using these. Just very convenient. Just throw my clothing items in one of these bags and send them on their way. All right. Another plush, just plain, doesn't have anything hard, no squeakers, no sound boxes, so it just gets put in a poly bag. Another plush. He's kind of stiff. He's an older vintage plush. So I wanted to give it didn't need a box. So I wanted to give it, though, a little bit of more protection. So I'm going to put it in a poly. These poly bags, I get mine from the Boxery. Actually, I like them. They're not flimsy. They hold their shape. I prefer these. All right. What?
Speaking of the box rate, links to the bags and boxes are in the video description that we use. We got affiliate links down there for it. When you go check this out, we sometimes buy things from value
mailers.
And between them and the Boxery, the quality of the products have been really good. Sometimes the boxes have been like they've gotten a cheaper batch or something that just isn't as good, but they're still functional. But check the prices, because one time you might buy value mailers, the next time from the Boxery. I think it just depends on who did they get their shipment, from last time, and what was their buy cost on it. So
right.
The prices go back and forth.
We found a Facebook ad or somebody was going out of business and they were selling a bunch of their like bubble mailers and stuff. And we went and bought a bunch. Well, he had a pile, probably about this high, of these little boxes that he just gave them to me, right? So I listed a whole bunch of Lego minifigures, which this is one of them. I've been shipping my Lego figures in here, and I think any smalls that I don't want just put straight into a bubble or whatever, I'm going to start using these until I run out. But for this box is very, very strong. And here's my little Lego. Again, it's in a little clear bag. And then I tape it just to make sure it stays closed. I don't think it would ever open, but I just do. And then I've just been mailing them in this. The post office would be very unhappy if you tried to put a label on this. So I've just been putting them in my smallest poly bag. And that's how I've been shipping them. Little battery operated toys, right? These two little figures in here. Robert has been making these for me. I had a very, very unhappy buyer send me messages. I mean, just bam, bam. They were just getting more and more hostile because she couldn't get a toy to work. It was because there was no batteries in it. I do not include batteries with my toys. I do remove them. The only ones I will include are the little tiny button ones, but I don't even keep those installed in the toy. I just think depending on how long it takes for something to sell, those batteries could corrode while they're in storage. So I've been putting this sticker on anything that I sell that does not have batteries in it, just so they know they're going to have to open this up and put their own batteries in it. So again, hard toys, they could easily be damaged. I'm going to ship them in a box. Usually I take a large bubble, just wrap it, get it in the box. It's not quite full, so I'll include one air pillow in there just to kind of fill in the void, and that's it. This is just a Kohl's Cares. That's going to be my next brand video. Kohl's Cares Plush. Nothing needed extra protection on it, so it's just going in a poly. This is Build-A-Bear. Again, nothing that would need it to be in a box or anything. The thing with Build-A-Bears, a lot of times they're over a pound, even before you ever pack them, especially if they've got clothes or anything on that. If he had been over a pound, don't waste your stuff that you're paying for. I would just throw him in a shoebox, priority box, and ship it that way. Be smart with what packaging you're using. That shoebox doesn't weigh very much. It would not bump this to it. I would had to have listed this for 1 to 2 pounds, and that box is not going to bump it up any higher. So just words of wisdom. Know the weights of your plush. And you know, if it could be mailed priority, or it's going to be once you do any kind of packaging, then I would definitely use the priority box and save the stuff that you're buying for other stuff.
Would an exception to that be maybe if you had a plush that would be like 1 pound, 14 ounces, that you might do it in a poly just to keep it going at 2 pounds instead of 3 pounds to save on shipping?
Right. And you know, but a lot of times these Build-A-Bears, they're like 1.2 or 1.4 or something, depending on what it's got dressed or how big it is.
So the box isn't going to make it a 3
Right,
pounder.
the box isn't going to make a difference. And again, little plush. He has beans in him.
I'm going to buy one of these days.
I know.
I'm going to find a Beanie Baby I'm going to find a Beanie Baby that's worth nothing. You know, some of them are worth $11,000, and I'm going to cut it open.
He's going to cut it
I'm
open.
going to see what's in there.
I'll have to contemplate this issue, whether this is going to go in a pot. I really don't think it would hurt him. You know, he's got beans in his body. It's just probably, I don't know. It's just something that causes me angst to think that, you know, it could be damaged. I think this one would be okay. But I'm going to leave it like that for now.
I'm going to prove you wrong.
I know.
But I know that even if I won the argument, I would lose the argument, so...
Probably.
I'll just have to let you discover that you're wrong all on your own, so it's not me proving you wrong. It'll be like a sudden discovery of your own, and the world will be a better place.
Maybe. Speaking of, this is an example. It's a plush. It would be fine mailed in a bubble or in a poly bag, but it weighs over a pound. Don't use your own shipping. Just throw it in a little priority box and send it on its way. Okay. Now, let me explain my shipping for clothing. Most clothing that we list is 1 to 2 pounds, like a lot of jeans. And I charge a flat rate of $8.99 with the thoughts that it's going to be shipped in the padded flat rate envelope. But if somebody near me buys it, a lot of times priority is a whole lot. A regular box is even cheaper than the padded flat rate, which is $8.30. This was one of those examples. It's going to, I think, Indiana. It was only going to be like $8.05. So I'm just going to put it in a regular box and not worry about, you know, I'm saving a quarter more by doing it this way. So pay attention on the different shipping rates and the types of boxes, because sometimes the padded flat rate isn't the cheapest. I know some people like to use those, the flat rate letter. I do on occasion. This is big. I would just be happier putting it in this box.
And what is a quarter? A quarter on 1,000 pairs of jeans in a year is $250.
There you go. All right. Here's another puppet that's sold. It doesn't have anything normally that I would worry about putting this in a bag, except it has a bell. So I don't want to put that in the bag. So it's going to go in one of my 8x6x4 boxes. All right, this, I think, yes, this is another one of those. This plush weighed like 15.8 ounces without packaging. It would have been so close if I put it in a poly bag, but it's also a vintage plush. I really wouldn't want to put it in a poly bag and ship it. Just, he's got hard eyes. He's a little bit stiffer than some of the more contemporary plush. So I'm just going ahead and going to put it in a shoebox and ship it that way, priority. When I list, here, I'm going to let Robert finish this one. When I'm processing stuff to list, I weigh every single item. Every single item. I have a scale right by my work area. And in my brain, at that point, I decide based on what the item weighs, if I'm going to ship it. If it's first class, I'm going to list it at either 4 ounces, 8 ounces, 12 ounces, or 15 ounces. You know, depending on what I think the packaging is going to be, I just use those increments. If it weighed 2.7 ounces, I'm going to put 4. So, but also at the same time, something like that, I knew it was so close. I could have laid a bag on it, but a lot of times if I have something that weighs 7.9 ounces, which 8 ounces is the cutoff for first class, one of the price cutoffs, I'm going to go ahead and put it at 12 ounces just because, you know, it might go over once I put my Rolo label on it. Just, I'd rather be safe. But I think it's very important you weigh every single thing that you're listing so that you have a better idea of how much it's going to weigh packed. And then you can be more, more accurate in your listing as far as the shipping fees that you're going to charge.
You could always just tear off one of your Rollo labels and lay it there beside your scale, and when you're
I've
checking
done
things,
that.
throw the label on there and see what it weighs.
Yeah, a lot of times, like it'll go, 7.8, 7.9, and it keeps bouncing back and forth. So I'll throw that Rollo label on top of it and a bag and see, is it going to bump up over the 8 ounces, Sold a bunch of Christmas ornaments. They're in their packaging, their original vintage packaging. You would not want to put this in a bubble or a poly bag. They're wooden, they're breakable. The packaging could get damaged. A lot of collectors of Christmas stuff display this stuff in their original packaging. They have entire elaborate decorations that's just packaging, stuff that is still in their original stuff. So you don't want to damage these. So it's going to go, even though it's not very heavy. I'm going to wrap it in bubble. And then my handy dandy 8x6x4. It's just perfect. Fits in there without any extra. So a little wooden salt and pepper shaker. I will wrap each one of these separately. You don't want to put them in there. This could somehow rub against each other, break off nubs, break off the handles, any of that stuff.
It'd mess up the finish too.
Yeah, they could, scratch very easily. So what I'll do with these is I'm going to wrap each one of them in their own thing, and then they're going to go in their own box. Together. So, again, I like this little 5x5x5. I just make sure, even for wooden stuff, anything, wrap them so that they don't rub against each other. This is another one of those examples. He's right on the line. He is a vintage steak and plush. He's full of the nutshells, which make sure when you're listing plush that have nutshells in them, put that in your in your title, because, some people have allergies. But he's right on the cuff. He's vintage. I'm going to go ahead, put him in a priority box. I could have Robert cut it down, but I use a whole lot of this paper. We buy it at Walmart. This is one of the HO scale train accessory type things that we sold. Now, I don't have a box. We have friends who save boxes for us. We save our own Amazon boxes. I'm not against using used box. We have piles of them for when I just don't have a ready box for it. And I did list it first class, so I need to keep it under the 15 ounces. So Robert found this box. It fits in there perfectly with some bubbles.
The box we had that would have fit that would have been significantly taller, I think.
Right.
So it was easier to find a small box.
And then he's used the handy dandy box cutter to cut this down. And then we will just, do the tape over, wrap it around so it's tape on tape. And it did stay under 12 ounces to ship it. All right, well, and then last one was...
Next to last one.
Oh, next to last one. This was just more of that HO scale. This was all one brand. Any one piece of it was only worth a couple of dollars. So I just decided to put all of it together. And then so I'm just going to ship it in a priority box. And then I'm going to use some of this to, go all the way around the edges so that, even if something accidentally gouged a box, it's going to be away from these items. And then I'll have Robert cut the box down so that, because there's a whole lot of space there.
The paper around the edges keeps that from shifting around.
You don't ever want to hear anything moving in your boxes. Yes, if it's got rattles in it, you can't stop any of that. But normally, you shouldn't feel any shaking in your packages. But I'm not going to wrinkle up the paper for this one right now. Here was the one. It took me forever to list these things because I didn't want to pack them. Let me pull it out temporarily. I feel tape coming loose. Oh, there we go. All right. You guys can't see it. Well, yeah, you can. Look. This is one of those melted popcorn wall hangings. This is Santa in his sleigh. I had a ton of these, and I've sold all but one of them. It just took me probably 3 years to list them. But what we're going to do, this is a nice thick box. This is the box a lot of times I use for lots. It is 18 by 13 by 9.5. We should have links down in the bottom. To ship this, we're going to leave this box flat. As long as your packaging, I think, is like 3/4 inches or something, that's okay. So I wanted this extra packing, bubbles and everything on this. And then we just find a box that's going to fit it. But make sure that, you give yourself plenty of space on the edge, because you do not want your thing sticking out anywhere near the edge. And then we're just going to tape them shut all the way, all of this, all of that, and then down each of the sides. And then I'll put in these measurements. I think it ended up being like 13 by 23 by 2.
32 by 24 by 2.
Yeah, something like that. And I'll put those measurements in. But, make sure you get everything sealed. But I ship books, a lot of times books this way, comics this way, if I don't have loose cardboard readily available and I'm in a rush. I'll just take one of my boxes and nail it flat like this. All right, hope this helped. I'm done for the day, y'all. This is my second video. My throat, I feel almost normal, but I'm not used to talking this much in one day.
I still got a whole bunch of work to do.
Yeah, Robert's still got school stuff to get ready, so I think I'm calling it.
And a video to edit for tonight.
All right, let's not get to work. Let's just relax and enjoy the rest of our weekend.
That's not even right.
Bye.